In this lesson, we are going to talk about creating the NC code to drive the machine tool. For this, we are going to look at the NC program function. NC program is used to organize and output the information of the operations you created. This can be the NC machine code output, selecting a specific group of operations for simulation, or creating a setup sheet. We will be focusing on creating NC machine code. You may need to post these same operations for several different NC lathes. Not every machine will have the same capabilities. You may be running a lathe with a bar feeder, and the program will require a parting cutoff operation. You may be running billets that are already machined to the proper length, so no cutoff is needed. NC program lets you create groups of operations and pre-select which post processor to use. The NC program icon is located in the Setup toolbar group. Let's select it now. The NC program dialog has two tabs. The Setup tab contains information on post processing, which post to use, and which post options should be activated. The Operations tab shows a similar view to the toolpaths in the browser. Let's start by focusing on the Operations tab. Any items selected in the browser prior to starting NC program will automatically be selected in the browser window on the Operations tab. Disable any top-level selections from the setup to clear any selection in the right window. If we place a checkbox on Setup 1, it moves all those toolpaths to the window on the right. Disable Setup 1. If we place a checkbox in an individual operation, it moves those toolpaths to the window on the right. For our example, select Setup 1 to select all of the operations. Let's go back to the Settings tab. These are the post-processor settings. This program name is taken from the name you specified in the setup. We will leave that set to 1001. You could put in a comment, but we will leave the comments section as is. For the output folder, I have a folder on my desktop called CAD/CAM Files NC that I'm going to select. You can select any folder that is convenient for you. There is a choice to Open NC File in Editor. This will open your default editor when the NC code is created. I will leave that disabled. You will see why later. In the Post Configuration section, you can use the filters to help find the best post for your machine. There are many different configurations available to create the NC output. We can use the Library selection to tell Fusion where to look for the post processors. We can limit the types of posts to display by selecting Turning from the Capability pull-down. Then in the Vendor pull-down, select Haas Automation. Now in the Post pull-down, you can see the available Haas turning posts. Pick the Haas turning post configuration. The posts will usually have switches to turn on or off functionality. In the section on the right, there are a number of switches that can alter the output of the NC program code. If a post doesn't seem like it's right for your machine, it might simply be that you have something turned on or off that's affecting the output. Not every post processor will have the same switches. Consult the product help documentation for additional information on these switches. We will be leaving them as is. Select OK to save this NC program group configuration. Now we can see a new item in the browser for NC programs. Click on the new NC program and change the name to Turning with Cutoff. You can create multiple NC program groups to accommodate different output requirements. For example, you could create another NC program group that does not include the cutoff. Or you could be using a different post-processor for a different machine. Those differences could be reflected in the NC program name. Right-click on top of our Turning with Cutoff group. If you need to modify this group, you can select Edit. But you can also select this to run a simulation, post-process the NC code, or create a setup sheet. Let's select Post-Process. My system already contains a file called 1001NC, but I can select Yes to overwrite the old file. When I do that, a box will pop up in the lower right corner. If I mouse over that box, it will stay open. It's telling me that the program has been created successfully, the location of the file, and if I want to, I can click here to view the NC code in the editor. In the editor, I can see the posted NC program. Close the editor to return to Fusion. In this lesson, we learned about the NC program function, how to select the operations for a saved group, how to select the post-processor to use for creating the NC code, how to rename an NC program group, how to post-process an NC program group, and how to open the file in the editor. Press Ctrl+S to save the part, Command-S on the Mac.